What's going on, Minties? The Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, and today I'm going to show you my haul for the month of July of 2019. So please stay tuned. And welcome back, Minties. Now, before I get started on this haul, I'd like to say a few words from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you Minties, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And the link to cheapgraphicnovels.com is also in the description of the video. Now, the very first thing I want to talk about are these amazing books right here that my buddy Kyle ended up giving me. If you saw the comprehensive reading order of Justice League, you saw these and you know how excited I was to get these. I am a huge fan of the DC Justice League by Grant Morrison, all the way even up to issue 125. But this stuff right here, this is all custom bound. They are taken from the trades, and they're also taken from some of the comic books. So some of the issues that were missing from the original trade paperbacks are included in these. These are amazing, all the way from issue 1 until 125. Even the craptacular Pain of the Gods, the Chuck Austin storyline. But, I mean, most of this stuff is amazing, though. So, that's not the only custom-bound book I got. There are 5 of these that collect, by the way, all 125 issues. Let's look. Actually, I just want to check out, because I've only looked at volumes 1, 2, and 5. This is the Mark Waid run right here, Tower of Babel. As I mentioned, probably one of the greatest Justice League stories ever written by Mark Waid. And, oh, man, I gotta reread this stuff now. I love having it like this. That way, I just pick it off the shelf. Now, look at this beauty. This is The Avengers by Jeff Johns. Now, it's gotten some hardcovers, and it's gotten some trade paperbacks. But what's really cool about this custom bound is the fact that this is everything in between Kurt Busiek's run and Avengers Disassembled. Look at this beautiful. How is this not an oversized format? Oliver Copiel artwork. Probably because Jeff Johns wasn't the only writer on this. There's Scott Collins artwork. Oh, The Search for She-Hulk, yeah. Chuck Austin took over the book. He did it for a couple of trades, and they're included in here. But, I mean, the saving grace of that run was Oliver Copiel. And he was always matched up with some really good artists for the most part. And Scott Collins here on this. There we go. Thank you again, Kyle. So, let's look at another thing that I got. This is my buddy Gabe. Went to the San Diego Comic-Con and hooked me up with this. This is the little X-Man Scotty Young pins that my kids and I collect. These next set of books is what I like to call the Kyle Pile. Man, Kyle is just a man. He hooks me up. He's a great friend of mine and hooks me up with just books that I would not normally buy myself. So this is Killing and Dying. I haven't read any of these. That's how I separate them. This is the crossover events from Ghostbusters. And I'm still looking for that Mass Hysteria, which is the Ghostbusters Volume 2 hardcover. That thing is near impossible for me to find. I have looked everywhere. And I used to be pretty good at finding those kind of books. Like, I've never heard of this book right here. This is Warren Ellis's Trees. Jason Howard's on artwork. Just don't want to flip. Actually, he kind of reminds me of a little bit of Scott Collins' art. There's Deep Roots. See, I don't even know what this is. But I love that cover. Oh, man. That art. That looks dope. Damn. That is cool. So there's books I normally wouldn't pick up. Like Kyle's like, man, you got to read these. Or these are some that he's read already and he wants to know. So it's a lot of cool stuff that I normally wouldn't read. So sometimes I put them on the reviews in a flash. Sometimes I talk about them here. Actually, as a matter of fact, I do want to strongly talk about this book right here that I could not put down. I read it in one sitting. It won an American Book Award, apparently, right there. This is the best we could do. This is written and illustrated by Thi Bui. T. Bui, I'm so sorry. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. It is the story about a Vietnamese family that comes over to America, living through the 70s and 80s, 90s, and the aughts. It's about her and her brothers and sisters. It's the story of her father, her mother, when they were living in Vietnam, and what made them the way they are. It's a memoir. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking, and I could not put it down. I started reading it. I want to say it was like one night I couldn't sleep, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I read it all the way up until I passed out. I couldn't put it down. It is beautifully drawn and beautifully written. I can relate a lot to some of this stuff because, I'm from Peru, as some of you all know. So this was a beautiful book. I loved it. And that is The Best We Could Do, published by Abrams Comic Arts. And we have The Wrong Earth. I have no idea what some of these books are. And I cannot wait to read these. I got a lot of reading ahead of me, so I gotta put aside some things. This is The Shadow Roads, Volume 1. I believe this is an Omnibus book. Really like the artwork. Kind of reminds me a little bit of, just a little bit of Darwin Cook, mixed with maybe some Tim Sale. This next one here is Cullen Bunn and Jesus Hervas, Empty Man Resonance. And I talk about how I need to set some time aside to read books, and I have no idea how this man gets so much written. Like, seriously, there's so much stuff that he's written that I have never heard of. Let's see, this is Vault. This is a Vault comic. This is Vagrant Queen. Oh, yeah, digging that artwork. Space travel, robots, guns. All right, I'm in. Okay, Generation Gone. Like I said, I don't want to flip too much through here because I haven't read some of this stuff. And here's another volume of Trees. This is the Warren Ellis book. This is Volume 1. Man, I'm really digging this artwork. Who's the Jason Howard? Okay. Guess it depends on the kind of mood that I'm in, what art I enjoy. Beyonders by Paul Jenkins, and there's a name I was familiar with. I like his independent stuff. I did like his Peter Parker run, and I was a big fan of Wolverine Origin. I just was not a fan of the Civil War Frontline book, and everything afterwards. Here is Friendo. I have not heard of this book. This is Vault Comics. Digging that art. Actually, I dig the colors a lot. Kind of reminds me of that other book, Weatherman, a little bit. Invisible Republic. Here's an Image book, Invisible Republic. Let's see. Some of that artwork in here. And let's look at Quantum Age. This is from Dark Horse. Is this in the Black Hammer universe? Yeah, it is. The Black Hammer universe. I was going to say, some of this stuff looks familiar. So Jeff Lemire stuff. All right, now let's look at some other books. Here we have Wolverine the Long Night. This is based on the podcast. So this is really interesting. It was a podcast, and then they did an adaptation of 5 issues of the podcast. I really enjoyed this. This was really cool. So it makes me want to go and listen to the actual podcast to see how good it was. So if any of you have heard the podcast, let me know. I love this. I think the art was awesome too, which helped the really cool story. So less Wolverine, more of a mystery, but dug it. Next up is Miles Morales. This is the new series. It is by Saladin Ahmed with this beautiful artwork here. It's very reminiscent of Stuart Eminem and Mark Brooks, but it's Javier Garon, who I'm not really familiar with, but I really dig his artwork. I read the first couple of issues in this. It's a lot of fun. The colors throw me off a little bit because there's just so much shininess everywhere. Like everybody's hair is shiny. Everybody's face is shiny. But, maybe it's just New York, right? So this is really cool. This is from Marvel Comics. This is the Tomb of Dracula, reprinting the Tomb of Dracula issues 1 through 4. Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan. Just some of the stuff I've always wanted. And since I don't own any of the Omnis, I wanted to get into these. Yeah, I know. I never jumped on those for some reason. Those are Werewolf by Night. I'm not sure why I never did. Here's something I wanted to make you all aware of. In case you enjoyed Marvels, this is the follow-up to Marvels that doesn't get a lot of love or recognition. Probably because Alex Ross did not draw it, but it is beautifully drawn. It is written by Kurt Busiek and Roger Stern. It is a follow-up set in the world of Marvel. So if you enjoyed that 4-issue wonderful miniseries with a new epilogue, pick this up. So this is something really cool. This is Weird World, the Dragon Master of Klarn. and it is written by Doug Moink. It was part of the Epic line, so I'm surprised we didn't get an Epic out of this, with artwork by John Buscema and Steve Poog. God, I'm having a hard time today pronouncing people's names. Oh wait, that's not today. That's every day. But love this artwork. Love the fact that they kept the original black and white stuff, and here's some of the pinups and stuff. So this was a lot of really nostalgia for me because some of the stuff that I used to pick up as a kid. Speaking of nostalgia, this here is X-Force. How many times can we revamp this series? Not enough. This is Ed Brisson writing this, and it is a continuation of the Extermination storyline. I really dig the story. It's a lot of fun. It's good to see a lot of these characters back in action again. What I could not get into was the artwork. There are 3 different artists that drew this series, issues 1 through 6. And I couldn't get into any of their art styles. But I dug the story, and that's what kept pushing me to read it. Here we have Avengers No Road Home. I was a huge fan of No Surrender. So when this came out, I was like, oh man, Paco Medina. We have the same team of Mark Waid, Jim Zub, and Al Ewing. Yeah, count me in. This is awesome. This collects issues 1 through 10 of that series. Now at the con, I picked up a few books. I picked up Trillium and Revival. I'm not a fan of Jeff Lemire's artwork, but I am a fan of his storytelling. So I went ahead and got this. The colors look pretty cool on this, though. So I may enjoy this. And then I also picked up Revivals 2, 3, and 4, having not read any Revival. Well, no, I take it back. I did read the crossover event with Chew. So I did get a taste of Revival that way. But I like the premise of Revival, and I've never read it. And I absolutely love the covers. So I'm kind of excited to get this and get into it. I need to get volume 1. But that is Revival. Let's see. Really quick, over there you see X-Men, Eve of Destruction, Cable and X-Force, and Conan. Now, all of those I did an overview on the channel, and I'll talk about All to Hell here in a second. But next up, it's Jesus Freak. This is a Joe Casey book I never read. I don't know why. And it's pretty cool because it's an oversized format. It doesn't have a dust jacket, much like most Image books, but it is as tall as an Marvel OHC. Speaking of Marvel OHC, here is one that I read digitally that I really enjoyed. This is Marcos Martin, and Brian K. Vaughan's Doctor Strange. Kind of a retelling of his origin, and I really liked the story. I really love the artwork. And it also reprints his early appearances and first appearance. But what's cool about this is an original exclusive to comic book stores during Free Comic Book Day. It does come with a dust jacket. So there it is. Local Comic Shop Day. Here's another deluxe edition. This one pisses me off. And I'm going to talk a little more about that. Actually, stay tuned to the channel because I'm going to talk about what my thoughts are, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the DC Rebirth Deluxe editions and the future of them. I want to give a quick shout out to my boy Lloyd Wong. He sent me this last month, and I never gave him a proper shout out. He was so nice. Now, during the Confessions video that we did on our panel a few months ago, I confess never to have read any of Valiant comics, of the new Valiant comics. The old stuff I've got. But the new stuff, I never read any of. So that was my confession, and he was kind enough to send me this. This is actually written by Jeff Lemire. I had no idea there was so much talent over there. And, he sent us a care package, and I owe him an email. It's just been crazy around here. So moving on to Empire Uprising. This is a follow-up to Empire, which was written by Mark Waid, drawn by Barry Kitson, and the exact same team is back doing this. But this is not published by DC. It is published by IDW, so I'm not sure what copyrights are there, but that's pretty interesting. And this takes place about a year after Empire. So this is a cool crossover event. This is Revolution. This is the hardcover right here. So this hasn't been collected in any of the hardcovers for Transformers or Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles do not have anything to do with this. This is basically Transformers, Micronauts, ROM, G.I. Joe, and Mask. That's basically who the characters are here. But the event is just collected in the hardcover. To get the whole story, you got to get these right here, like the Power and Glory and 100-Page Wonders and Crisis Intervention. So that's how you find out the rest of the story of Revolution. So that's pretty interesting that we never got a hardcover for these right here. Next up, I wanted to talk about this right here. This is the classic collection from 7 Seas Manga. And if you know much about these, they've been coming out in hardcover. It's a lot smaller than, your average deluxe edition, but it is a manga size. Now, this is Leiji Matsumoto's Space Battleship Yamato, which inspired the anime, and of course it came over here as Star Blazers. This collects the entire saga. Oh man, I can't wait to read this. This is awesome. I'm a huge fan of their stuff. They did Devilman, they've done Cutie Honey, they've done Captain Harlock. So very excited to read this. This is part of the classic collection. I love the fact that they're hardcovers. They're beautifully done. I'm a big fan of manga, as you saw in my manga tour and my drunken anime haul. But yeah, excited to read this one. I've watched the anime. Well, I watched Star Blazers. Never seen the original Space Battleship Yamato, believe it or not, just the movie. Now, when we were in Knoxville, I got to talk to Nate Olson, who drew this and helped create this book. I stood by him on Artist Alley, and I was checking out some of his artwork. He had some posters there. And a lot of the art and the colors reminded me of Jay Lee stuff that he was doing in the Gunslinger saga, Dark Tower, for Marvel Comics. So that's kind of what got my attention, his use of shadows and, just that Western tone. So that's why I picked this up. It is a one-shot graphic novel. Everything is collected in here. He self-published it. And I was like, yeah, I got to support a local artist. So that's why I picked it up. I'm going to read it, and I'll probably do a reviews and a flash on it sometime soon. So just keep an eye on the channel. One of the last things I wanted to show you all was this beautiful art print I picked up when we were at the Knoxville Comic Con. This is an art print by Mike Peraza. He was a Disney animator on DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers and Tailspin. He studied under the 9 Old Men, and he did this amazing Uncle Scrooge and the gang meeting. So it's pretty cool. It's the DuckTales from the original series from '87 meeting the new DuckTales from the 2017 series. So it's a 30-year anniversary thing. He did it as a joke. And people were like, no, we got to make prints of that. This is too beautiful to be a joke. So that's what I ended up getting. When I saw it on the table, my wife picked up the Kermit the Frog one. I picked this out, and I'm like, I don't care how much it is. I'm going to get it. That thing is too beautiful. Now I got to find a frame for it. But anyway, that was the very last thing I wanted to show you all. And that was everything I hauled in July. Again, thank you to my friend Kyle. These custom binds were a huge surprise. It almost makes me want to go back and start doing them again, because it's so fun to put the books together and then taking out all the ads and then sending them to the bindery, and so they can go ahead and put your book and design the cover. But man, I just don't have the time to do it. I gotta make these YouTube videos. Let me know in the comments down below what you all ended up picking up for the month of July, or what you're looking forward to in August. If you enjoy the content of this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notifications button so you can be aware of when our videos go live. And also, if you are a subscriber, please don't forget to hit that like button, as it helps promote our videos. Our logo can be found on Redbubble, on t-shirts and stickers or coasters or whatever you want. And we are also on Patreon if you want to help support the channel that way. And you get exclusive things like comprehensive reading polls, early access to videos, and behind-the-scene bloopers. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.